Well, I don't know.
See, I always have a smile on when that little intro, the cheering intro comes on too. And then I thought, all right, you like it so much too, we're just gonna play it twice. And then it was like a little.
I I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I honestly, it's it's just par for the course, man. With all this technology, you just like we you just heard me complain a little bit ago about the password thing. I mean, it's password after password after password. It's like, gosh, what is going on? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing to ourselves? We're killing
It
ourselves.
is it is interesting. Yes. I think it was just Skynet letting you say, hello, I'm here watching you.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah,
that's probably
yeah.
what that was.
Well,
Yeah.
they got to send my packets, the individual packets over the internet. They got to send some of them to YouTube. They've got to send some of them to the NSA. They've got to send it all out to the, I mean, it's got to go everywhere. So it just, there's so
Oh,
much latency. But
that's good stuff right there. That's
yes,
good.
sir. Yes, sir.
So, uh, I don't know what happened to the past week, Mr. Kaufman, but how are you doing today?
I was great this past week, but today I am exhausted. It was a rough workout this morning. One of the most brutal ones I think I've had since I started doing this whole thing. And man, it's going to be a fun podcast because I'm having trouble. I went and filled up on electrolytes. So that's the first thing I reach for whenever I feel like this is salt. I pretty much I think I sweat out all of my salt and minerals this morning. It was just awful. It was an awful.
It's it's good. You got your go juice. You're ready to go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How about you?
Excellent. It's been pretty. Actually, if I'm being honest, I would say that I really look forward to Fridays and doing the podcast. I like just chatting about real estate and all that stuff too. I didn't think, honestly, I thought it would be more of a burden trying to say, okay, Friday we got it. I mean, it is a little bit too, because we have to come up with topics and keep things interesting and all that stuff too. But I really just kind of like it, so I kind of look forward to the Fridays. So
Yeah,
a
I mean
couple
it's
months passed.
yeah, it's funny you say that because like last night when I was sitting down there, I was finally able to relax and I finally settled in for the night and uh, my wife was watching one of her binging on one of her shows and I thought, man, I don't really want to do this podcast tomorrow. And then this morning I get up, I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired. But now it's like when we finally go live, it's like I don't know, it is a good time. I really do enjoy it.
It's good. And what is our topic for today?
Okie doke. I always have a long lead up into the actual title of the thing, but I thought today that we would since we kind of operate on the creative side. I don't know how creative uh, this stuff's going to be today, but I always like to do. I don't know. I kind of take if I hate to admit this really, but I kind of like to take either the long road around things or I kind of like to try and understand everything so I have all these little twists and tweaks and turns that I do with really just about anything in the business, particularly when it pertains to marketing. And so what I thought we'd talk about today is um, some creative twists on finding off market deals. Probably this is probably not. I mean, definitely we're not. I mean, this is not an original thought. None of this is original, really. But I really like these little twists and turns that you can, these little little levers and knobs that you can turn in your marketing, that a lot of people, quite frankly, aren't doing, and that's really what I look for. I look for things that other people probably aren't taking the time to do, really honing in on those, perfecting those, and building systems around those, and then deploying those strategies and seeing how they work. And so I've been doing that for many years now, and I've got a few of those nailed down, and that work really well. We're going to talk about a few of those today.
Excellent. Now, truth be told, I just need to take a step back, say, and just let everybody know who's gonna watch this at some point, is to say that Mr. Jeff Kaufman here is what I would say, and I don't throw this term around loosely. Like, he's a marketing guru. Like, he really knows marketing very well, way better at marketing and all that than I am, without a doubt. So you are in for a treat. So when we drop those little nuggets, when Jeff drops those little nuggets, like, you should pay attention to those.
Well, I don't know how true that is, but I do know that I like marketing. I like the whole process of. Uh, I'm not a real creative guy, but when it comes to marketing, um, I like getting into the weeds, and I like getting really creative, and I really love to put something out there and see how people respond to it. That is my. Um, I don't know. I guess that would be. I'm not an artsy type of dude, but I guess that would be my form of art. That's what I like to do. I think it's fun. Just get a blast out. It's expensive.
Well, it can be expensive
Yeah,
depending on what
yeah,
you do, which is actually a perfect segue into the first one,
yep,
driving for dollars, which is not doesn't have to be that expensive,
right,
right?
right. Yeah, I mean that's honestly, honestly, it's probably the best list that you can build. Now, people, you might be thinking, "Oh, driving for dollars, that's been around for decades."
Yeah.
You are correct. Driving for dollars has been around for a long time. It's probably, I know it's the very first form of marketing I did. I remember having my W-2, and it took me an hour to get there and an hour to get home. And I remember the very first property that I ever looked at. I was driving. I happened to see it off of the highway, see this property off the highway, and decided to pull over and see what I could find out about this property. Took a walk around it, and it's just one of those really, really basic strategies for building a list. Um, but a couple of things that people don't. Uh, a couple of things, if you want to dive a little bit deeper into driving for dollars and how you can be more effective with that driving for dollars. Um, one of the a couple well I'll just give you a couple little tactics. Like, these are a couple of little things that, again, these are not original thoughts. I did not come up with this, but it's something that I've adopted and I found that works. And since we are here in the Midwest, and we have snow on the ground right now, which I just cannot wait. I, Dude, I am so done with this cold weather. It's depressing, man. It's really, really depressing. Um, but you can use this to your advantage when you have snow on the ground. For those of us that get snow, um, one of the things you can do is drive your favorite areas and look for look for properties that don't have tire tracks coming out of the driveway.
Yep.
A
Yep.
lot of times in the wintertime, especially, everything dies back. You can't really tell what you're looking at, as far as whether a property is vacant or distressed. I mean, there's going to be obvious signs for distressed properties. You're going to have gutters hanging off, or you know, boarded up windows or what have you.
Yeah.
But
Missing
uh,
shingles, all the whole nine
yeah,
yards.
but yeah, so you can take advantage of the snow. Go drive around. Be safe, obviously, but go drive around and see which properties do not have tire tracks coming out of the driveway, or out of the garage. That's the same. The same goes with, if you understand what the trash routes look like, and most of the time you can find what the trash routes, um, uh, the schedule for the trash routes in any particular neighborhood, and you can go drive around a neighborhood And again, a property it might look nice, it might look nice by driving by it, but it may actually, in fact, be vacant. And maybe the city, like we do this a lot here, a lot of the municipalities around here, the cities will actually mow the lawn, so you can't really tell uh, whether it's a vacant property or not. But if it's trash day and there's a trash can not set out to the curb, and you don't see any activity around that property, and there might be a decent little chance that that property is vacant, and uh, you could go out and do some research on that property, find out who owns it, maybe send them a piece of mail, right? Um, but the big key between both of those, whether it's the snow or it's the uh, you know trash cans not being set out, one thing you need to do in both of those situations, excuse me, is take a look. If you can see into the backyard will tell you everything you need to know about that
Yep.
property,
Yeah.
generally speaking.
Look over the fence.
Yep.
Pro
Because
tip: look over the fence in the summer, right? In the
yeah,
spring and summer. Yeah.
yeah, even in the winter, because because the cities are not going to go through a fence to cut those lawns. And a lot of times it's just, even the homeowners will only pay to have the fronts mowed just to keep city off their back. Uh, so yeah, even if you're not looking for trash cans, or if you're not looking for tire tracks in the snow, go ahead and look in the backyards, because that will tell you a lot about what the inside of that house is going to look like too. So another thing that we really like to do as it relates to driving for dollars is um, I created a pretty substantial, I'll call it a little army of of drivers. Right, I had actually had a whole program. It was a whole big deal. In fact, I ran my entire business off of this program for 2 years, strictly on driving for dollars, around that concept. Um, but right away, if you have, let's say that you are, I don't know, you're driving in a neighborhood, and maybe you're just sick and tired of driving around and writing down property addresses. Why not recruit people to do that for you? And I just want to give you a few of those folks um, that might be willing to do that. Personally, I've had mail carriers from, I mean, all over the county, sending me properties, and they're the ideal person to do that for you, because they actually, I don't know if you've ever, I don't normally do this when I'm rehabbing a house that's vacant, but usually you can let the post office know that the property is vacant, and they will put a placard on that mailbox that actually says vacant. I mean, to me, it just smacked you right in the face. It's like, okay, these are the people I need to be talking to, because they know exactly the houses that are vacant, even the ones that are, um, just completely distressed. So really, any delivery drivers out there, I've hired Amazon drivers before, Uber drivers, DoorDash. Um, of course, I can't leave out UPS and FedEx, but they're moving so fast. Um, they're probably not looking around that much for you. Uh, but yeah, delivery drivers are a great source for creating this little network of people that just send you leads. And I'm not going to get into um, really how those people should be compensated. It's really kind of an open book when it comes to compensating those folks, as far as like maybe paying them a finder's fee, or I actually got to a point where I was paying them per property that they submitted. So
Yeah.
I diverted
regardless of whether you closed or not.
Right, correct.
You're
Yeah.
just you're paying them for the address. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And it wasn't much. It was um I think we got up to like $1.30 per address. But if people say $1.30, I mean, what if they submit 500 addresses in a week? Well, great, because what I actually did was I was spending $5,000 a month on paid ads through Google at the time. Well, this was actually saving me money.
Right.
So I mean, and
for better leads.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I probably wouldn't say that. The leads that I got from Google, which is still holds true to this day, were the best pre-qualified leads. Like they were. Uh, I mean, you have anytime you have someone reaching out to you and filling out your form, you know exactly why they're doing that. So,
That's true. Yeah.
um, but yeah, no. Nevertheless, though, really good leads, really good solid leads. I mean, it it puts you in a position where uh, we talk about fresh leads. These are the absolute freshest leads that you can get because obviously a lot of times there's a big lag in when a vacant house is reported, and a lot of times you're not even going to hear about a distressed property that may be occupied. You're not going to hear about that at all. And so to have that delivered to you is a godsend. They're really great leads.
Could we pause for a moment too
Yep.
on going back to the finding the address? So for those people that maybe don't have any experience, right? You skip trace. You can skip trace the owner, which is basically just tracking down. You pay a company to give you the information on the owner of the property. Sometimes you can look it up by various other means, like the county in county records. You can see if you can find a different address, especially if it's a vacant property and all that. You could use PropStream or other things to us, but you skip trace them. And so as we go through here, I'm going to toss into the comments over there. We've got, if you want, we recommend Skip Force as the skip tracing people. The link is in the comments. And PropStream to hunt down things. That link is in the comments for you as well. Just as an aside. And sorry, we'll just do with the shameless plug, or we're just giving you links to our preferred people that we use for stuff like that if you're interested. So
Yeah, and a lot of times, like Skip Force, for example, they're going to have a minimum number that you have to upload to be able to skip.
oh yeah, you can't just
Um,
do one or two. You gotta,
and
yeah.
there's a lot of services that do that. There's a couple that don't require you to do that. So if you just have like little onesie twosie, in fact, I'll throw this in here. Most folks probably know this by now, but let me see. Oh, I don't. Gosh, my typing's terrible today. So everyone's heard of, I think, True People Search and Fast People Search. Those are two kind of free online resources, which is really spooky because a lot of that stuff is very, very accurate. But I have found that in recent years, True People Search has actually gone downhill. I think actually True People Search was purchased by I forgot who it was. One of the big mining companies out there. Um, but I have looked up successfully. Let me throw this in here. Fast People Search. Now, this is going to take up a lot of your time, obviously, to to go out and research each one of these individual names and addresses. But that Fast People Search, not as pretty as True People Search, if we're talking about aesthetics. But man, they've got some really accurate information in there, including phone numbers for you cold callers out there. Fast People Search is a really, really good resource. It's probably the first thing I go to if I'm really trying to research. Let's say, for example, I don't know, someone I see a inherit or a property on the probate list or something like that. Well, I want to mail. I may not necessarily want to uh, mail that address because I mean it's on the probate list. Nobody's living there, more than likely. So what do you got to do? You got to try and find next of kin. Well, Fast People Search shows you next of kin as well, and once you click on the next of kin, you have all of their information. So you can pick up the phone, make a phone call. Um, Probably going to take you a few times to get the right number. Probably going to get cursed out a couple times.
Mm.
But if you've got thick enough skin, just continue to do it, and eventually you're going to reach someone who. Probate's probably the wrong example because you probably don't want to be picking up the phone and calling someone who's
Yeah,
just
probably.
lost a loved one. But
Yeah.
I mean, you could use any other form of or any other lead or potential lead as an example. But Fast People Search is a really great one. They're I think it's probably something we'll need to keep up on because I think this is probably going to change as well. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, just for those little onesie twosies, definitely use Fast People Search.
And
All
since
right.
you just gave them a freebie, I'll toss out here too. The driving for dollars is in this particular fast tracking your lead generation marketing class that we have in our store. So if you want to learn more about setting up your own little driving for dollars, I'll call it the cadre, right? Your team, your driving for dollars team, or whatever you want to call it too. It's all in there. It's all in there for you.
Yeah, and there's a couple of other really good ones in there.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's not just about driving for dollars, but
yeah,
that
for sure.
driving for dollars is a component of that. Yes.
Yeah, it was designed. This was actually designed to. It's designed to get you to leads the fastest. They may not be. Uh, I say the very best leads, but it's designed to start getting leads rolling in the door. So you can start making phone calls. You start getting, getting your 10,000 hours in of making those phone calls and getting used to talking to folks. Okie doke. The next number 2 on our list.
Yes.
This
Networking with professionals. So this is a little different. Now, of course, you can always network. Just to go back a step, you can always network, and we strongly encourage you to go to local RIA meetings to network with people, right? But specifically here to get leads as a twist, we're talking about networking with professionals. And so I'll just toss out the very first professional we have on here would be different attorneys, right? Probate attorneys, bankruptcy attorneys, divorce attorneys, and like attorneys, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about how much you love attorneys, Mr. Kaufman.
Oh, they're totally essential to human life. Yeah, they're
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
they're a necessary evil. Most of them are good people. Some of them are good people. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to disparage them, but I will tell you. I give you a little twist on this. So, okay, this is a true insider secret. All right, this is what I have done with these particular probate, bankruptcy, and divorce specifically. I set up websites, right, where now I don't portray myself as an attorney. I portray myself on these websites as a referral service to attorneys. So essentially what I've done is I've created websites, and they're really just simple one-page landing sites is all they are, for people who are looking for attorneys. It's kind of like affiliate marketing, where if you sign up for an affiliate, say with, I don't know, for some product somewhere, or maybe even it's an Amazon product or product found on Amazon, you set up a website and you sell that product, but that product is actually being fulfilled by a third party. So that's exactly the model that I used when we're talking about these types of attorneys. And so I'm not going to give you the websites, but they do exist out there. And what you'll have, and then what I would do then, of course, is I would run paid ads for people looking for, say, if there was a divorce, if someone was looking for a divorce attorney, my page would be served up to them through a paid ad. They'd fill out a form. I would then, in exchange, or in turn rather, I would actually give. I didn't charge the attorneys for these leads. I would give them the leads, and I would kind of keep feeding them leads, and then eventually, eventually it got to a point where they were referring people who were dealing with problem properties. They would refer those back to me, and so I slowly became the. Now this wasn't my sole lead generation strategy for a very long time, because it does take a lot of work, and there's only so many donuts you can give out, right? So, but yeah, that's exactly how that worked. So that's a little insider thing. Worked pretty well, but it does take a lot of work to keep those things, to keep those relationships going, because
So let's just
Yeah.
make sure that we all understand the brilliance of that. Like that's reverse. So the typical what people would typically do is get to know these real estate attorneys or probate attorneys or divorce attorneys, what have you, and they would send you the leads for people that are distressed and they know that they have to sell their house or whatever too, right? Just
Hmm.
unilaterally, right, one direction. So what you did was to flip that on its head, like you reverse prospect it, the attorneys.
Yeah.
You got those, and so you actually got the information from the people, right? So you could have then turned around and direct mailed those particular houses too, in theory, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, I wasn't gonna say this because this was the golden nugget, and I'll just throw it out there because I don't I don't care. Half the people watching this probably are not going to implement this anyway, because that's just kind of the way people are. It's
Yeah.
a great strategy, but a lot of people just won't take the action to do it. But one of the things that I would do, very very simple tweak, really insanely stupidly simple, is on that form. Okay, so I have the website. I'm running ads on it. The people visit the website. They fill out the form. On the form that they fill out, there will be a little checkbox, just one little checkbox. And that checkbox would say, it asks a simple question: is there real estate involved in this, whatever, whether it's probate, or whether it's any of those, bankruptcy, probate, or divorce? Is real estate involved in this, in this transaction? Or uh, is it the reason, is there real estate involved in this divorce per se? And that one little question would set off a whole different set of this whole chain reaction of kind of the back end automation that I would do, as it relates to the attorney. It would send them totally different emails. Um, and I can get super super geeky with this stuff, um, but yes, and you're getting the information from the horse's mouth. You're not going out and schmoozing a bunch of attorneys and hoping that they pick up the phone and give you a call and send you a lead. You have the lead. And as I like to always say, those who have the leads rules. They rule. If you have the leads, you are in charge of any particular situation. And so that's what it's an excellent strategy. Again, like I said, is if you're not super techie, it might not be for you. Um, but it does work quite well.
That's an
There's
interesting.
the laws of reciprocity come into play there.
Ah,
And
yes.
that's what you're banking on.
There are some universal laws as it relates to that, as
Yep.
far as I'm aware. That's true. So,
Yep.
what about a couple other ones though? We'll just toss out there. These are kind of this code enforcement people, right? Those guys that go out and do the occupancy inspections in your municipalities or whatever.
Yep.
They're great. Now, I will say this: you got to take this with a grain of salt because sometimes they're complete jackasses, and you don't want them on your bird dog team. So let's just
They're
be honest.
robots. They're robots. 90% of them are robots.
Their
Yeah.
egos have to you have to expand your front door so their ego can get in before they do. But they could be good sources of people in there. And you know what? So now that we're doing these pro tip caveat spins right here, this little nuance. How about the administrative assistant slash secretary that's in the office doing the scheduling for the code enforcement people? You
Yeah.
don't think they don't have a wealth of friggin' information they could pass on to you for maybe a box of donuts
Yeah.
once a month? Like seriously,
Yeah.
I mean that might be the better person to schmooze actually.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that one was probably one of the lesser ones that I ever, I'm not much of a people person, to be honest with you. But I did have a relationship with someone in one of the municipalities up here where, in fact, these code enforcement guys also did our occupancy inspections. So a lot of people around the country don't have occupancy inspections like we do, but I got to know him really well through some of the rehabs that I was doing. And it got to the point where he saw the work that we were doing, and he would just come through and he'd take a quick glance around, he'd just sign off on it, and eventually he did start feeding me these properties. And I think we bought maybe two or three that way through him. But it's one of those things. I understand those folks can be. Uh, I don't know that they can get in trouble,
Yeah, it
but
might be a
because
little
they're
conflict.
just
Yeah.
trying to clean up the neighborhood, though. I mean, honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. But
So,
again, I think it was one of the lesser utilized sources
yeah.
for distressed properties.
And then the other big one on here too would be those that property manage for people.
Oh,
Right.
100%. Yeah.
They can really give you some good information, maybe even on multiple properties. Six or especially that tired landlord. We've talked about this in other episodes. That tired landlord that's got 6, 10 properties or whatever and wants to unload that shit because they're tired of, even if they have a property manager, they're just tired of that. So property managers can be a good source of
Yeah,
leads.
and that's a perfect source because they're licensed. They know what's going on. They you know if they can sell a property for a property manager, then they're going to get paid as well. So I think it's a great source. In fact, I think I'm not 100% sure about this, but I've seen several people kind of implementing this. I've seen it kind of where people will say, get on the phone, start calling property managers. So I think it's kind of becoming a big deal. Maybe I'm just not, maybe I'm just not up to speed on it. But I mean, I've been doing this for years and years. They're great resources, excellent resources. And actually, the we have the last one would be again mail carriers,
Mm.
but I don't know if that's necessarily an insider. It would be an insider kind of professional, but I would implement, or I would talk to them about doing kind of the driving for dollars things and make them part of a team versus one offs for sure.
And can we just do like one Captain Obvious statement? If your mail carrier, or especially the one that's on your route or locally or whatever, does a shit poor job of delivering your own mail, maybe leave them off your bird dog team. Just FYI, just as a
Yeah. Well, he's probably too busy taking down addresses to deliver mail.
maybe that's it. All right. Moving on to the next one. Now we've talked about this in the past too, but pre-foreclosure and distressed homeowners.
Yes.
Foreclosure and distressed homeowners.
Yep. And I'm going to share my screen real quick because I want to show you guys really, well, first, let me explain what we're looking for here. When it comes to pre-foreclosures, I think everyone who has either marketed to pre-foreclosures or maybe listened to some guru about it, you would understand that this list is just destroyed. I mean, it is there's so many people targeting pre-foreclosures, agents from every corner of the state, county, and local. It's just absolutely hammered.
Yep, a lot of competition.
So with this list, it is of uber importance that you get to that pre-foreclosure first. Don't wait till it hits Zillow. Although I know people that do deals off of Zillow. I mean, in fact, I've bought houses off of Zillow before. But I will tell you, this is one of those lists that's super important to get that lead first, or to even find the distressed homeowner first. That is the goal here. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to do a quick screen share, and let's see here. I'm going to bring this window up. Can we see that?
Bridge Tower Media.
Yep, there it is. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to tell you is first I'm going to reiterate, you have to get to these distressed properties first. The way that I do this is through what is called, it's actually the publication that pushes out all of the, it's, okay, let me drop back here. I have a tough time explaining this. When someone goes into when someone finally goes into foreclosure, meaning they're 120 days late on their mortgage, the lender will assign a successor trustee. All right, it is that successor trustee's job to then post publicly that this property is in foreclosure. These individuals are in foreclosure, and provide that information to the public so that the public can make any claims prior to that foreclosure actually happening. All right. So that is the process. That's how they get into this pre-foreclosure period. In that process, once that successor trustee is assigned, they have to make that public posting. Bridge Tower Media is what I call an intermediary. This is a company that the attorneys slash trustees, they send all of that foreclosure information to Bridge Tower Media. Bridge Tower Media, if we go up here, where's it at? Hold on, man. Let me click on brands. Here we go. If you go to bridgetowermedia.com, you click on brands up here, you're going to see a button over here that says legal. All right. If you click on legal, this is the resource. So like, for example, MLM counties is where all of our foreclosure publications, this is what they go through. They go through MLM counties. So you can go into, for example, I should say that MLM counties is for Missouri only. All right. You can see you have Michigan right here. You have St. Paul, Minnesota. You have Western New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island. And this is limited, to certain states. But I promise you, there is a service like this out there somewhere that does exactly the same thing
for your
state or your particular area. All right. This just so happens that all of those foreclosure notices go through MLM counties, which is owned by Bridge Tower Media. All right. Excuse me. So this is the absolute freshest data that you can get on pre-foreclosures. So remember I said earlier, you want to be the first in line for these pre-foreclosures. And if you are in a non-disclosure, I'll get this right someday. If you are in a judicial state.
Judicial, yeah.
All right. We are in a non-judicial state. And so it is imperative that we get to, and what that means is that properties can be sold on the courthouse steps, literally I've seen it done in 21 days.
Yeah.
Right.
It's supposed to be 21. Yes, it's supposed to be 21 days, but yes.
So in judicial states, generally speaking, these foreclosures can happen super, super quick. That's why it's so important to be ahead of the curve and find these leads super, super before everyone else does. In judicial states, however, a foreclosure can take forever. It can take a long, long time. So the way I like to approach judicial states is you either need to be really, really early. You need to be the first one that knocks on the door or sends a piece of mail or picks up the phone, or you need to be really, really late at the very end. You don't want to be in the middle. Just a little less activity. That's what I call the, they're burying their heads in the sand stage, is right in the middle. So if you in judicial states where it requires a court order to foreclose on a property, those can take a long time. You either want to be right up front, you want to be the first one in line sending out mail or picking up the phone, or you want to be the person on the end of that process after the court proceedings and all the all the rebuttals and all the rigmarole you got to go through the judicial process. Once that's done and there's a date set, now you have a timeline. Now you have a definite date where these folks they either have to sell that property quick or they're going to be out, right? So since we are in a non-judicial state, I use a service called or a website called mlmcounties.com, and I'm not sure are you still looking at Bridge Tower Media?
No, it switched.
Okay. So yeah, and this is the service that I use. So I just go in here, and I'm not going to go through on how to actually use this. You kind of have to do a little bit of research on your own.
Course. Yeah, that's in our course.
It is. Yeah.
It's in our marketing course that has us in there. So
But um, I guess really what I went through all of this just to drive home the or drive it home that you have to be on top of this. It has to be something, and we are seeing pre foreclosures that those numbers rise a little bit. So um, yeah, I always say that no matter what the inventory looks like at pre foreclosures, you just need to be marketing to them because they can be such great deals, and they're always, well, maybe not always, but there are a lot of good creative subject to deals that come out of pre foreclosures. So um, I'm going to stop sharing now because I honestly I could get down a rabbit hole here. I'm probably already halfway down it, but yeah, excellent list to mail, and that's how you find the most up to date pre foreclosures out there. That's how you do it.
yep, got to be
Yeah.
quick. Got to be
Wow.
quick and fresh with those. That's for sure.
All right.
All right. How about
Okay.
well, you've kind of talked about this, your online presence, but the next one, the next item on our list for today is creating a strong online presence for organic leads. You mentioned creating websites. Of course, those websites were key to particular things too. But what other tidbits do we have for them on an online presence?
All right. I'm gonna throw out a game changer here for you guys.
Nice.
Websites are great. Websites are fine. Honestly, I mean, it's good to have one. I think it's good for authority. I think it's good, if you've got a seller that really wants to go out and do some research on you, which it's a good idea to have one, and it's a good idea to market. If you're going to run paid ads or something like that, you market, you push people to your website, you push them to a particular landing page, and you have them fill out a form. Great, it works fine. But if we're talking about, if we happen to be talking about someone who is maybe limited on budget, um, another really great way to manage this, and you don't even have to have a website to do this, is to use Google My Business. Google My Business. This little hack is just a fantastic way for people who maybe aren't super tech savvy, or limited on budget, like I said, to have a way for people to go out and review their services. All right, so a Google My Business listing is it not only does it show up in search, but it also shows up in Google Maps. All right, so I want you to think about this. If your business shows up in Google Maps, let's say that Jeff buys houses. Jeff buys houses is a business. All right, doesn't have a website. People don't have really any way of really understanding what all you offer. You can create a Google My Business listing in lieu of a website, right? And the website will act as obviously the way to learn about you, and it'll have a way to contact you. All right. Here's the hack. Here's what I ended up doing, especially when I was doing a lot of wholesaling. I would do this. I still do this when it comes to uh, my rental portfolio. I apply this same strategy with my rental portfolio. What I do, I'm going to stick with the rental portfolio, but just understand that you can do the same thing for you wholesalers out there. You can do the same thing. If I own a property at 123 Main Street, I can technically make that property a business, right? A business can run out of that property. Well, what happens when I own 40 properties all across the city, right? So essentially what I would do is I would create a Google My Business listing for my company, and my locations were spread out all across the city amongst, say, 40 different properties.
Nice.
And so what that does is, number one, it's instant credibility. You're out on Google. You're out on Google. It embeds you inside those small neighborhoods, especially if you've already purchased a property there. Well, now you're embedded in that neighborhood. And really what's going to happen is you're going to sign up for that. Google's going to send you a card. They're going to send you a card with a code on it that you have to go back in and set up inside that listing. But you own the property, so you can either go check the mail, or if you have maybe you have a tenant or an owner finance buyer, you can say, hey, I'm going to send you or Google's going to send a piece of mail addressed to me. When you get that piece of mail, let me know. Give me a call, and I'm going to have you read the numbers off so I can verify that my listing is valid there. And so what you end up having is, like I said, you're embedded in all of these small neighborhoods with your same, you have the same name, right? Jeff buys houses, which, by the way, I'll give you another hack on that in just a moment. But you're embedded in these small neighborhoods, and your name is being disseminated out there every time somebody does a search for someone who buys houses. All right. On that note, if excuse me, I'm talking a lot here. My throat is getting I get super excited. I get down these rabbit holes.
You're doing just fine.
So with those listings, though, let me ask you a question. Do you think it would be better for me to make the name of my business Jeff Buys Houses, or do you think it'd be a better idea maybe to say name that listing Sell Your House Fast? So I'll tell you, number 2 is the better one.
Yeah,
because that's an actual search term. That's an actual keyword search term.
Yep.
So when somebody types in, hey, I need to sell my house fast. Well, those search terms are going to pop up all of your listing in that particular area. And it doesn't. And so if you're spread out, you getting the point here. See where I'm going with this. This is all free, by the way. You don't have to pay for any of this. So, what this accomplishes is what I like to say. It's being a big fish in a small pond. So you are, in fact, there's a lot of companies out there. Enterprise Rent-A-Car is one of them. I used to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and their model is, if you notice, that they have all of their offices are in the community, like they're embedded in the community. They're little small, corner.
The strip
in fact, a lot of old houses have been rezoned commercial, and Enterprise will move in there, and they're in the community. And that's exactly what this does for you. And, in your listing, you can have testimonials. You can, from, sellers, tenants, cash buyers, retail buyers, owner finance buyers. You can have all of these testimonials, which then you can take and link to social media posts. I mean, you can just go on and on and on with this. So, and this is all free. One thing you might pay for here is you might pay for a separate phone number, but even Google can give you a Google Voice number for free.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of crazy little little tweaks that you can do with your marketing.
That was like a master's class in online advertising. That was great. Let's go, and we're going to finish it up with direct mail. Yes, folks, direct mail still works. We've preached that before, I think, right? We've heard us. You've heard that before from us. Now I'm having trouble making sentences in there too. But direct mail. Why does direct mail still work, Mr. Kaufman?
Well, I mean, it's still the only service that you can do without. Well, number one, the legalities around it is. I mean, that hasn't changed for couple hundred years. Anybody can send mail. It's going to be delivered. They can't tell you not to deliver it. Someone might request that you take them off of your list and you not deliver mail. There's no law that prevents you from keep sending them mail, even though, it might be money wasted. But this is why I don't like to manage lists so much. I don't like to, if somebody calls me and asks me to take them off of their list, chances are I'm probably not going to do that, because it's sometimes just not worth your time, depending on how large your lists are. If you're sending out 3,000 and 4,000 pieces of mail, you have a couple hundred people tell you to, take them off of your list, is it worth your time to go in and search for every single one of those? And I don't know. Some people do it, some people don't. I choose not to. It's just not worth my time. But mail gets delivered each and every time, guaranteed. Where if I'm running paid ads, I have to have, number one, some knowledge about how to set up that campaign so that my ad shows up. There's no guarantee that my ad's going to show up for a distressed seller. It's not, there's no guarantee. However, the mail will be delivered. So a couple of things that we've talked about in the past. When it comes to direct mail or mailing really small lists, there is a website out there called Calligrapher, CALLIGRAPHR. There's no ER at the end of it. So calligrapher.com. And what this site does is it allows you to create your own font, your particular font. So you download a card with all these boxes in it, and you just fill out the letters. You upload that card. It interprets those letters, and it creates. For me, it's Jeff's font. It's my own particular handwriting. And so then what I'm able to do then is I am able to actually create my list, whether it be driving for dollars or pre-foreclosures, what have you, these smaller lists. And I'm able to actually print and send out mail in my handwriting on both the letter and the envelope that I print through my little black and white Brother printer back here. And I send that out. And this is just for small lists. This isn't for the large list. You'll spend a lot of time with this method. For the big ones, we just recommend, first of all, A3 marketing letters. One of our former students had used A3 marketing letters and referred us out to them. And I'm telling you, they're the most fantastic. It's the most fantastic service I can think of as far as direct mail houses go.
Yep. And I think I may have put that in the chat, but now the chat's all cleared itself, so I'm going to put it back in the chat. So if it's there numerous times, that's all right. That's just how much we love them.
Yeah, and it's there. I see it. I still see it in the chat. I don't know why yours.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah, direct mail. It just works. It's old faithful, is what it is. I think direct mail. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's something you can rely on for a very long time. So you can really build a lot of systems and processes around it, and knowing that it's going to be. I don't necessarily think it's the absolute best marketing channel as far as lead quality goes, but nevertheless, you're guaranteed it's going to get delivered, and those people. And now it's up to you whether or not your mail gets opened, and that's why we like A3 marketing letters. But guaranteed it's going to get delivered for sure.
Yep. And remember, stick with direct mail, right? It's the third, fourth, fifth touch before maybe somebody even calls you. So it does require some persistence, and it does require some funds, right?
Yeah.
To direct mail. So just keep that in mind. But you do have to have some persistence, and well, maybe consistency is the better word, right? You have to be consistent with your direct mailing to get your response rate up.
If you build a system around it, if you, just like anything else, once you figure out a particular list that you're going to mail to, and you understand that list, like you've thoroughly thought through, maybe you've built an avatar. Excuse me. Maybe you've built an avatar, a seller profile for that particular list. Say it's divorce, and try and understand what the number one, what the psychology behind what these people are going through, and also understanding the process of the divorce process in your particular state. Like, it takes that much detail to be really, really good at marketing. Like, it takes that much knowledge, and a lot of people are just like, what, as they say, throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping that it sticks.
Yes. But yeah, let's not gloss over that too, because a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this over the years too. It's like, okay, so I'll let's just go about pre foreclosures. I'll send a list out. I'll send some mailings out to pre foreclosures and get like simple math, 500, and I got two calls off the 500, and say, well, that's shit. That's a waste of my money. So now I'm going to mail the probate list, and now I get one call out of 500, right? Again, pick a strategy and stick with it with some consistency. That's what the marketing people, right? The people love when you keep switching things because they know they're just going to get more money from you. You're not going to get results, right? In order to get results, you have to be consistent and stick with the strategies. What are you trying to do? What properties are you trying to find? Pick two or three strategies. We preach this all the time, right? Pick two or three marketing channels and stick with them.
That's right. I'm gonna throw. I'm gonna throw. I think it's actually. I think in the description that we that was built prior to going live here. I think this link is already in there. But you'll see kind of how we. I just put a link in there. This is to our ultimate list building marketing collection, and what this is, and how we like to look at things is maybe a little bit different than a lot of people teaching these strategies. Uh, I actually like to dig deep into the psychology of these particular sellers. So we categorize that into basically three different categories, and it's personal financial relationships. I'm sorry, personal and financial related motivations,
Yeah.
property related motivations, and family related motivations. Those are three different types of motivations, and they all have different ways of dealing with those people in those particular, or that have those particular motives or motivations. So I think it's important to understand that stuff. And I did the exercise. I went through, and for each one of these, I went and uh, built an avatar, and just try to put myself in those positions. And it's actually reflective in the copy of the mail that we send. Right. So, and you can find all of that stuff in that particular bundle. We actually sell that stuff individually as well, but I think that's a pretty good deal for that one. And quite honestly, I think it works really, really, really well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it up there if I didn't think that, but
Yeah, and to just continue the shameless plug. We'll go into detail about how to pull the list from the different list providers and all that. So yeah, I mean, we put a lot of damn work into that, especially you, Mr. Kaufman, on the marketing stuff too. And so you guys, as you should take advantage of that. Like you use all these. I mean, how many golden nuggets did you throw out there? I lost track at half a dozen. Right, all this stuff is in the course, and yeah, you have to pay for the course, but then you have it forever.
yeah, yep. I love marketing, man. I love it. I love marketing more than I love buying houses. I do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see, I don't. Yeah, see, no, that's the yeah, that would be the opposite
yeah,
opposite for me. But
yeah,
I could see how your personality lends itself well to doing all the difference because it's like you're doing like little experiments inside and tweaking the
yeah.
like you said earlier, the knobs and dials, I believe. So yeah,
Yeah, that shouldn't be overlooked either. I mean, the fact. I mean, I've spent years really just trial and error and just figuring out what actually works. Like, for example, one of those, a lot of folks will send out these kind of generic um, postcards, which you can send out postcards. That's totally fine. But they send out these generic postcards, and I've just found that I have a not only greater response rate, but an actual greater close rate when you start getting into the psychology of these folks. And the way that I do that, I start it right off the bat. It's addressing, I like to say, addressing the problem right up front, and doing it in a way that's not uh, doing it in a very polite way. For example, our divorce, the copy in our divorce postcards is, we deal with family related problems. That's one of the things that we throw out there, and it's sincere, it's truthful,
yeah,
and it really does get a good response rate, and it lets people know that, number one, you have potentially someone on your side and someone who can deal with family problems, right? I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a much better way to much better message to put out there than just sending out, "Hey, we buy houses." Yeah, everybody buys houses. Like, I don't know how many of those have seen the bottom of this trash can. I mean, but if I see something come through that really piques my interest, I'll hold on to it. So anyway, enough preaching.
Excellent. Not preaching. Golden nuggets. So many golden nuggets, pro tips. What insider secrets? Maybe we should start this. That's like a nice phrase. Insider secrets. So we hope that you enjoyed getting all those nuggets today as much as as much as I did. I mean, there's more to come. So if you like the marketing or want more about some specific marketing, like feel free to comment stuff. I mean, we get we're getting a decent number of views on the recordings and stuff like that. But feel free to make a comment, especially if you're watching it on YouTube. Make some comments in there, and we'll be glad to address those in future episodes.
That's right. Got anything else, Mr. Rossix?
I do not. With that, have a great